guys, it's Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, nomadcapitalist.com here in Malaysia, and wanted to put an answer once and for all to the question, can U.S. citizens hold dual citizenship? And we wrote an article that has been viewed almost 1 million times a couple years ago about which countries allow dual citizenship. We made a video here on YouTube about it too, and you can go check that out. But what's interesting is, as I've talked to U.S. citizens over the years who have asked for help, as I've met up with a few of them in person who have asked for help, I've heard some kind of strange claims ranging from the U.S. does not allow dual citizenship all the way towards, I heard that if you are caught in the United States with a passport from another country, they take it and they destroy it on the spot. Now, what is up with this quote-unquote ban on dual citizenship in the United States? Where would this come from? Because to answer the bigger question, the United States does allow dual citizenship. That's how so many people come from their home countries and become U.S. citizens, and can also, stay whatever the previous country was, whether it's China, whether it's African, whether it's European, wherever. Obviously, a few countries require people who get U.S. citizenship to give up their citizenship, i.e. if China finds out they don't like that. But most countries say, hey, you can be, Nigerian and you can be American. You can be, Polish and you can be American. And so, of course, the United States allows dual citizenship because that's an issue. And then you have people like me who have gone out there as U.S. citizens in the past and talked about, hey, I'm getting this second passport and done it on video. So that is allowed. What is the issue, and what I think causes people to think that there's some kind of ban, that you're not allowed to have the passports on U.S. soil or something like that, is simply that when you enter and when you depart the United States, you're required to do so as a U.S. citizen if you are a U.S. citizen. So this is the case in most countries. It's the case in Russia. It's the case in pretty much everywhere. I've seen one exception to this with one of my passports where the government actually asked me to enter on a different passport that wasn't theirs for a specific reason. But in general, countries want you to use their passport. So that means if you're a U.S. citizen and a St. Lucian citizen by investment, you cannot use your St. Lucian citizenship to enter the United States. Nor, do I believe, can you go and get a visa in your St. Lucia passport when you're still a U.S. citizen. That might slip through the cracks, I think, but in general, you have to enter and depart the United States on your U.S. passport. This really applies to citizens of the roughly 40 visa waiver program countries because, as I said, if you tried to go and get a visa in any other passport that needed a visa to get into the U.S., they would probably be like, why? We're not going to do this. But if you have a Portuguese passport or French or whatever else, I suppose you could just show up without a visa and you could try. But that is not how it works. You are required to be an American when you come and when you go. And so I think that what some people misunderstand is that they think that they're going to get a second passport to protect themselves from any unforeseen issues or riots or chaos or whatever while they're living in the United States. Well, while you're living in the United States, you better be prepared to leave the country as a U.S. citizen and then go somewhere else as a different country's citizen. So that's the bottom line. Obviously, I think that having a second passport, even if you want to keep your U.S. passport, is a great insurance measure. You never know when you may need it to travel. You never know when you may need it to do business. You never know when you may want to give up your current citizenship. And so having that second passport now gives you the option, which I can tell you feels a lot different than just thinking about having the option. Having the option really puts you in the driver's seat. That said, the one thing you can't use your second passport to do is to exit the United States or to enter the United States if you're not a U.S. citizen. The U.S. wants everyone to come and be an American when they're coming and going, and really the reason for that is that what they don't want, or at least one of the reasons they don't want, is people coming in as a French citizen, getting in trouble for something, and then going and seeking consular assistance from an EU or from the French embassy, and acting like they're not a U.S. citizen when in fact they are. You see this a lot in the news for Iranian citizens who go back to Iran, and the U.S. media is always painting them with a bad brush in terms of they may be Iranian American, but when they go, they have to be Iranian, and they're subject to Iranian laws. Same thing happens in the United States. Same thing happens in most countries. To the United States, you are a U.S. citizen. They don't really think of you as anything else. That's what they think of you of as a U.S. citizen. That's what they keep track of, is aliens and citizens. And to them, you're a citizen. What else you may be is not their concern. Just as what else you may be in Iran, if you're an Iranian citizen, is not their concern. Or Russia. Many of my Russian friends from past years, Russia doesn't view them as Russian American. They just view them as Russian. So definitely something you need to keep in mind. And if you've been thinking, hey, I'm going to get a second passport that I can use to leave the United States in case things get really bad, well, unless you're planning on giving up that U.S. passport, getting a visa in that new passport, and then coming on that one and being able to leave, then that's a different story. But just to be a U.S. citizen, you are subject to that one restriction, but it's not a restriction that prevents you from having, whether physically or just out there somewhere, any second passports. If you want to find out more about dual citizenship, second passports, and how you can live the nomad capitalist lifestyle, definitely subscribe here on YouTube, putting out lots of videos all the time, hundreds of videos that you'll want to watch. So click the subscribe button, and if you want to figure out more about how to put your strategy in place, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com.